Don't forget to like, subscribe and share the videos.
See, today, let us discuss about what is the workable plan for preparing for civil service exams. Basically, that happens to be one of the very important questions that people normally have, right? So, I would like to dwell upon my experience and to share my experience as a candidate. Long back, I was myself a candidate, and as well as a trainer for civil services examination for the past 25 years. Based on that, I am trying to share my views regarding the planning. See, basically, there is a saying, when you don't plan for, when you don't plan, when you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. That's the way the proverb goes to mean. So, for whatever we do, planning is very important. For a simple reason that what you want to do for, say, cooking, or when you plan to go with your friends for a movie, even for that you require planning, which means planning is something that we normally do. It's part and parcel of our day-to-day thinking, the part and parcel of our life. But many a time we don't realize that we plan everything and do. So, but we generally feel that when it comes to planning, we consider that to be a big, a term within quotes, a big term, something that is huge, that something only people with great knowledge and people who are actually heading organizations will do big. But it's not so. As I told you, we all plan. Every day in, day out, we plan. And what is planning? Planning is nothing but what to do, when we start doing it, what will be the course of action, and during the course of action, what are the resources required, what if we don't have the resource, what if we um, run short of the resources in the middle, how do we replenish them, and how do you optimize that resource so as to achieve the goal. This is exactly what planning is all about. But when it comes to serious issues like preparation or studying and all, we have a very different idea about this planning stuff. That's when we end up giving planning as a process, which is a very handy thing, which everybody knows and does, a larger than life image. As a result, when you give a larger than life image, the plan, when you make, the plan becomes unworkable plan. That is the reason why we talk about the term workable plan. See, a workable plan is something that is um, pragmatic, that is practical. I have one video to play for you. Just watch this video. You will understand something regarding planning. Look at the lion. What it does.
Something is wrong.
Just keep observing what the lion does.
But then the lion. The lion is there. You can't see him because he's lying flat.
This is exactly what planning is all about. Right? I don't have to explain, it goes without saying. See, just recall what happened in that video. And then look at this picture. You will understand that we have quite a lot of myths about planning, very wrong understandings about planning. Now recall what the lion did. The lion first came, it saw a herd of buffaloes. Then he stood somewhere, right, looked at the buffaloes. He first decided who will be his target. Right? Who is my target? The planning begins from there. And the planning begins from there. Then he just went into he just hid himself to observe, waiting for the appropriate time to attack. When he decided this is the time to attack, he just plunged into attack. So this is exactly what planning is. And now you can have a simile. If the lion is you and the herd of buffaloes are the subjects what you're going to study. Target the subject where you will begin with, where your strengths are. And get out of the myths about planning, like planning means, what are the myths? There are several myths about planning. What are the myths? As we started, we said that planning is something too big a thing, that something, it is larger than life. It is not so, number one. Number two, you may say that planning means you have to, you should not waste time. Planning is made only to ensure that people don't waste time. Remember, planning is done when the resource is limited. You don't have time to waste. Nobody has time to waste. So when do we do plan? What is planning? Planning is a process by which we try to optimize the uses of a resource that is scarcely or limitedly available, and time is scarcely available. Once gone is gone. You cannot recreate and you cannot reclaim. So planning is done not to ensure wastage of resources or time. It is done with a positive idea of optimally utilizing the time and resources. So don't ever have that myth. That is one important myth normally we people have about planning. Thirdly, when we do planning, we think that planning is something that we do in a very tight manner. That's when the planning becomes unworkable. Right? It will be without any break. So planning is not something that it is not a scheduling of your working. Planning is different. Scheduling of working is part of the planning, which is the bottommost part of the planning process. It is nothing but dairying. Scheduling is dairying. It is the most fundamental, the basic level. You execute the plan through schedules, but scheduling is not planning. So many times we confuse scheduling with planning. So when we talk about planning, we talk about daily. At what time I will wake up, at what time I'll go to bed, and in between the time, what all things I'm going to do. That is scheduling. That is not planning. Right? Fixing a timetable or scheduling your work is not planning. Planning is something that is very comprehensive. Planning is something that is very strategic. It is futuristic. Its idea is to make use of your available resources in a very, very proper, optimal way. Right? So that's one of the fundamental myths which one has to clear with respect to planning. Fifthly, when it comes to planning, you generally think we have to abide by the plan. And if you don't abide by the plan, if the plan is, sir, people will say simply, sir, I will work in agile mode, sir. I'll work in agile mode because the planning, that actually constrains me. That actually, puts me into a kind of a fix that I'm not able to move. So generally, I prefer to work in an agile mode. Now that is again a myth. It is an escapism. Right? You don't want to plan, and so you put the blame on the planning process itself. So basically, planning does not fix you, does not suffocate you. Planning will give you a clarity. What is the distance I have to travel? When am I planning to reach out to the place where I am to reach? How do I go out there using my resources? This is what the clarity it will give you. And you plan not to do things in a very systematic, being systematic and being bureaucratic or sometimes confused. Planning does not make you plan. You don't do planning, or we don't advocate planning to make you bureaucratic, to make you become bureaucratic. We don't want that. Planning doesn't make you, or planning is not the process by which you become bureaucratic. Instead, planning is about comprehension. It will give you a clarity about what is a holistic, it gives a holistic picture about what is a task in front of you. What is the objective that you have to fulfill? So that kind of aspect is what you mean by planning. So don't ever have this kind of a myth with respect to planning. that planning means it will give you a suffocation. It will, you have to strictly abide by the plan. Otherwise, you'll be beheaded or something like that. Nothing of that sort at all. So leave that aspect of planning aside. Now let us think about the strategy. Strategy is a long-term planning. How do you plan for your, whole process of your exam? See, basically there are three dimensions of planning. One is having a complete year-long or the entirety, planning for the entirety. Now you are preparing for civil service exams, then you have to plan for the entirety of the examination. Examination is not about prelims, mains, written part and interview. It's about you have to plan for everything as a whole. The exam is scheduled as the preliminary first, mains written examination second, and the personality test third. But the preparation is basically reverse. You have to work upon your personality first, then think about be prepared for your mains, and then zero down, funneling in for your prelims. Now, this holistic approach you have to take, and so you have to plan for it. When you plan, you have to plan for the complete final goal. The final destination is you have to land up in Missouri as an IAS officer. What should you do for that? So now, sir, I'll do for prelims, then I'll do for mains, then I'll do for interview, then I'll do for personal. That's not going to work. If you understand the exam system completely, you will understand very clearly that this exam is not an exam of knowledge, but this is an exam of personality. It tests your personality at all times. And to be precise, the preparation is your personality test. And who are you? What kind of a personality are you? Is more determined by the preparation, which is confirmed in the personality test by the board of UPSC. Which means it's essential for a candidate or an aspirant to understand the exam with a holistic perspective rather than in a piecemeal approach. That's why we talk about planning in three different aspects. One is the long-term strategic planning, which focuses on the complete exam. You have to focus on the personality test. We should begin from personality test. What kind of a personality am I? So how do I know that? Very simple. Personality is again another term which is simple but complicated when it comes to usage. How do I know my personality? Very simple. You can understand your personality by your qualities. What actually disturbs you? What actually you like? What you are interested in? What you love to do? What you don't love to do? Right? And what kind of memory you have? Do you have a very long-term memory space, or your memory is very short-lived? And what kind of a personality you are, meaning what kind of brain alignment you have, left or right? Are you an analytical person or are you a mathematical person? If you are an analytical person, you should go with humanities. If you are a mathematical person, you should go with science. All these things are known to us. Who else will know about you than you? Focus on that. That will give you the long-term planning. Now, this long-term planning, let us get into the objective aspect of this long-term planning. You know what is to be done. There are 9 papers in the mains. Of that, 2 are language papers, other 4 GS papers, 1 essay paper, 1 optional paper, 2 optional papers. Break down the syllabus. Find out the relationship between the topics of the syllabus, syllabi of different subjects. There are certain subjects and topics which are commonly covered in optional subjects, certain optional subjects along with general studies. For example, Indian society, you study in paper 1 GS of mains. A candidate with sociology must be able to relate that. And the same topic you will be able to relate with governance paper, where there is welfare programs and socially disadvantaged sections. When you study post-Indian history, post-Indian independence history for the first paper mains, and Indian national freedom struggle for your prelims as well as mains, you will also be studying planning in India. There is a history of planning which is very much important for you to understand Niti Aayog or say planning in India, economic development in India. So you have to relate the topics and syllabus. This is the strategic planning for the long term. And now you will have a clarity. Now UPSC is giving syllabus for different papers. For 9 papers, 9 different syllabus. Now you have to create one common comprehensive syllabus for you. Which are all the topics I will start for GS or optional and end with. I start with GS but end with optional. There's a topic that I start with optional but end with GS. You don't have to study twice. For instance, Constitution of India, everybody will have to study for your polity and Constitution of India for paper 2 GS and paper 2 GS mains and paper 1 GS prelims. The same will also be applicable to political science, law, or student with public administration option as well. Do you think that you have to study Constitution of India twice? Once for covering the general studies and second time for covering public administration or political science? That would be absurd. That is the reason why you have to create a comprehensive planning and comprehensive syllabus, which will set you the target for the long term. It will set you the objective. Second comes the exam-oriented plan. Say, for example, now we are in that particular stage. 100 days we are left with for the prelims. And within this 100 days, how do I do? Here, you will have to prioritize. There, you have to understand the syllabus. Here, you have to prioritize the topics. Prioritize the subjects, prioritize the topics, prioritize the subtopics, etc. Right? And then you have to allocate time for revisions, because read, revise, remember, and retrieve, the 4 R's of this exam, any exam preparation for that matter. So, this is an important aspect relating to the day-to-day, short-term planning. Then the third comes the actual scheduling, that is a daily plan. This is where we go into the nuances. Fine, let us try to understand still more in detail. Now the question comes, where do I begin from? Okay, fine, I understood what is long-term planning, what is holistic approach, everything, but where do I begin from? Right? $1 million question. It's very simple. Another question, should I study all night? Where do I begin from? Should I study all night? You have to begin from how many hours of sleep your body requires in a particular day in order to be afresh and active through the whole day. This kind of hard work is not required. This kind of hard beating is not required. Be kind to yourself and don't violate your own human rights. This is not the way to plan, or this is not, see, this is a visual shown in the movies to, project the heroism of the character. You don't have to be a hero, right? You don't have to prove to be a hero, because I don't think you all will be having heroines or heroes besides you at all times. So you don't have to prove yourself to be the hero at all points in time. Therefore, start with understanding your body and its requirement. Listen to your body, it will tell you what to be done. So it's a number of hours of sleep. See, you can categorize people into 2 major categories. One is short sleepers, other is long sleepers. For example, if you take me, I'm a short sleeper. I require a sleep of about 5 to 6 hours. That is enough. I can be fresh all through the next day. There are people who may require 7 to 8 hours sleep. If you are sleeping less than 5.5 hours, or if you are sleeping more than 8 hours, then there is something problem in you. Either you suffer from insomnia or some psychological problems. So that is different. I'm not getting there. Right? And sir, it is not like that, sir. Last time when I studied for prelims, by around February and all, I could not sleep and I was awake for 14-15 hours a day and I was doing quite normal. Don't worry. The heat of the examination will take you there. But you cannot plan and do it everyday basis. Now, will you be able to plan for 24 hours? See, there is one another myth. How many hours of study is required? People will say, when you go and talk to people and say that you're preparing for civil service, people will simply say that requires very hard work. What do you mean by hard work? Nobody defines. You have to study for long hours. And people will tell their own examples. I used to know one person sitting in my neighboring house. He used to prepare all through the night. He used to study. He never knew what that guy was doing. All that he wanted, all that he saw was in the middle of the night, he woke up and he just opened the window. He saw that light was, switched on, turned on in that guy's room. Just because the light was on doesn't mean that the guy was studying all night. There are many people who turn on the light and sleep. You don't get there. These kind of issues are, somewhat unwanted and unauthorized recommendations. They are not required. Basically, listen to your body. How much sleep it requires, because the body is the fundamental. It is a fulcrum based on which you will do your. See, your health is very important. If you cannot lose health, okay, fine, let us see. Let us imagine. You become an IAS officer, but you don't have proper health to enjoy your life. What do you think you'll be able to really do as an officer? Neither will you be beneficial to the organization, nor will that organization, being an IAS officer, is going to give you any good experience or good, life. It's not going to work at all. That's what I'm telling. Begin your planning with the number of hours of sleep that you require. How many hours a day I should study, sir? We'll come to that point. Why it is important to focus on sleep time is because sleep is very, very important for keeping our orientations and our cognitive abilities proper. And as much as you don't have sleep, the sleep deprivation or the sleep deficit will, affect your mindfulness. Most of you would be having the smart watches. The smart watches now talk about mindfulness. What you are doing about mindfulness? Sometimes it is prescribed that you practice yoga, you practice meditation and all. Nothing. I would suggest you have good sleep. Have good sleep. So what do I do to sleep? Nothing. You sleep. That's all. Now comes the question, sir, okay, fine. I sleep. I take sufficient rest, because the sufficiency of the rest is going to define the zone of my high performance. So now comes, okay, sir, I'll sleep. I understood, I'll sleep. But people say that when you wake up early in the morning only, your grasping power will be high, and so you should wake up early in the morning. Should I do that? There is no hard and fast rule. It is also personalized. There are people who are better performers, better graspers during nighttime. To be precise, late night when everybody has slept off, the whole world will be calm, quiet, it will be cool, and you may prefer to study late in the night. Doesn't matter. Don't force yourself. Don't force yourself to do or fit in to the system what you imagine it to be. UPSC is not a system that, it's not like a shirt that you will buy unsized and you will regulate or you will trim up your body. You cannot size out your body to the shirt what you buy. You have to buy a shirt that fits your body. So there is no hard and fast rule. Should I wake up in the early morning? If you're comfortable waking in the morning, fine, do it. No, sir, I have been practicing studying in the night only. So I want to do that. I want to change you don't have to change. If you really want to do it, it is your choice. I would not interfere. But early in the morning, wee hours of the day, I'm going to finish my work. See, most of the political leaders, they wake up very early in the morning. They finish off they finish off most of their work before even the world wakes up. All the sayings are good to hear, very interesting to hear. But do I have to apply it in my life or not? That again depends on you and your body requirement. Clear? For example, if you ask me, can I wake up early in the morning? No. If I were to wake up early in the morning, then I have to remain awake all through the night. It's very difficult for me to do that. Generally, I don't take anything. I don't take any assignment early in the morning. Even if I were to travel also, I don't prefer traveling early in the morning. I can travel late night, but not. Well, that's the way I've been. I have my own reasons for that. I'm not justifying it, but I have my own reasons. I had my own reasons for that, and I do have my own reasons for that. My body is bioclock. My bioclock is set for that. So get out of that myth or get out of that, conditioned behavior as well. Now coming to the next point. Sir, while planning, I have to know what is the ideal duration of studying. Is there any ideal duration? No. I tell you no. This is one of the very important myths of UPSC preparation. What is the number of, this is also when you come to, when you discuss, or when people come to know that the social vision, or the social understanding, perception about preparation for civil service examinations, that you have to study 20 hours a day. Why 20
Yeah,
hours? Study 28 hours also. Who cares? But will it be possible? Is a question. What is humanly possible can only be done, and what is humanly possible can only be done. Right? Do only what is humanly possible. Just because you are preparing for civil service examination, don't think that you are a hermit or you are doing a penance and you are somebody capable of everything. Nothing like that. Nothing like that. It doesn't work that way at all. Fine, then what is the ideal duration? Very simple. It again depends on optimizing your focusing time. How far and how long can you focus? I suggest you break your study sessions into 2 hours intervals, because very short durations like 20, 30 minutes or 45 minutes and all will not work, because it will only result in superficial surfacing, cattle grazing kind of. So I would suggest you to go for, make a plan for every day, like a 2 hours session with a small relaxation breaks as well. And also you have to plan your, see, at the same time, somebody will sit for 4 hours, 5.5 hours. That is again, that will make you tired. Right? Tired, and you will suffer from fatigue. Fatigue is a mental tiredness that will never allow you to, do something productive. So try to balance it. So generally what I suggest is, if you plan for a day, plan for a 2 hours session, individual session. Every session will be 2 hours. 2 hours you can sit, maximum 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours. After 3 hours or after 2 hours, take a small break of 20 minutes. Right? Even the Guinness World Record, that gives you the leverage of having 10 minutes break for every 1 hour of your activity. So you can take 3 hours, you continuously study. You can take a break of about 20 minutes to 30 minutes, which will give you refreshing and change the subject. For example, first 2 hours you study constitution, next 2 hours you study, say, something else, like something which is away from constitution. Say, take geography, right? So this is optimizing the focus time, because this is to ensure that your focus is intact. Right? And you are actually utilizing your time appropriately. Then the next important thing is, if you are public administration student, you know what is motion study. Right? You know what is motion study. Frank and Lillian Gilbreth, they gave. Basically, the productivity is affected by the basic movements and unwanted movements, right? Unnecessary movements. So when you do something with respect to basic movements, it is, and you become tired or fatigue, suffer from fatigue, then that is called as necessary fatigue. And if you do the unnecessary movement and that way you are becoming fatigue, that is what is called as unnecessary fatigue. And they say unnecessary fatigue in the organization have to be eliminated, and that is based on this, the assembly line. Some of you might be engineers who might have been knowing about what is assembly line in the engineering systems. The assembly line is to ensure that the movement of the employee is limited so that his productivity will become greater. The same logic applies to you. How does it apply to me? It's very simple. When you are sitting for studying, try to be organized. Keep your study table center. Plan your room like this. Keep your study table center. Put all your books right or left to you. Have a pinup board for you to mark out, or have a whiteboard for you to write something, to remind us, writing reminders. Have the stationery with you nearby. Have all the reference materials like dictionary or atlas. Everything should be in your arm's reach. It should not make you to get up and go somewhere and get. Once you sit in your study table, all these things should be in your arm's length reach. This is exactly what motion study of Frank Gilbreth talks about. And it is a proven technique. It is a scientific management technique. And if you really want to know whether this technique is Sir, what you talk about is theory. Now, you said you are going to give us a workable plan. Now you are teaching public administration. If you feel that, let me tell you, some of you, most of you are at your home. So get to your kitchen. Get to your kitchen. Right? Just you can walk through, doesn't matter. Go to your kitchen. See how the kitchen is organized. How your mom or somebody who manages your kitchen has organized. And what is this concept of modular kitchen? This is nothing but the kitchen is basically organized on the scientific management basis to avoid or eliminate the unnecessary movements. That the kitchen table is 4 feet high. Even the design of the gas stoves, the hobs, the height of the depth of the volume of the cooker, the volume of the frying pan, everything is designed to avoid unnecessary movements, would you believe? So it is something that is applicable, or that is what we apply on day-to-day basis. Because it will interrupt, I mean, it will minimize your interruptions and time wastage and becoming, unnecessary, suffering from unnecessary fatigue. And also it will help you to, transit between your tasks. That is one subject to another subject. You will have a feeling of completion. 2 hours, you sit there, you complete it, and then you go to study some other subject. It will be a seamless transition. So this is a most important aspect relating to your daily planning, right? Then comes the 5-11 strategy. I call it as 5-11 strategy because your planning for a week must be 5 plus 1 plus 1. So what is this 5 plus 1 plus 1? Plan for the focused study sessions for 5 days. Put the 6th day for revision. During the 6th day, you will review the previously studied topics, you revise. Then if you found something to be an area of your weakness, you can revisit it. And you will also be able to, do some consolidation work as part of that revision, which can be further extended to the 7th day. The 7th day is for the consolidation. What do you do in that consolidation? Clarifying the doubts, fixing up appointments with your teachers, right? Hanging around, making a plan to visit your friends, preparing mind maps, right? And another important thing is, during the first 5 days, supposing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I have made a plan. Wednesday afternoon, I had some emergency issue that I could not complete the task of that particular day. What do I do? Sir, all that what I do is that I'll push it to Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday schedule will be pushed to Friday. Friday schedule will be pushed to Saturday. I'll take one more day break. That is a collapse of the planning, unworkable planning. Supposing Wednesday afternoon session for some emergency, you had planned to study, say, history, Sultanate of Delhi, the Ilbari dynasty. It skipped. Keep it reserved for the 7th day. The 7th day allowance we give for that only. Right? Do that on the 7th day. Don't alter your plan once it is made. Right? Altering the plan is very difficult and it will collapse the entire plan. And no, sir, I have done everything perfectly in that week. 6th day, I have revised it. I have also fixed the appointments with my teachers or friends for discussion, doubt clarification, everything. I've done, sir. Fine. Evening, give yourself a chocolate, Cadbury, Dairy Milk, or 5-star, whatever you like. Give it to yourself. Give a pat on the back to yourself. Go and hang around with your friends as well. Because it's very important to have friends, and hanging around with the friends is very, very important, because it's not only, it will be very refurbishing and replenishing you. Also, it'll help you to see the life. See, most of the times, the problem what I see with the civil service aspirants is that they live in their own cocoon. They meet only people who prepare for civil service only. They meet only their fellow candidates. Your fellow candidates, you can have friends among your fellow candidates, but you have to see the world outside as well. It'll give you a different perspective. It'll broaden your horizons. It'll give you a different perception. You will know what is the perception of the society about what you do and how society is moving. So that actually enhances, not only relaxes you, but also enhances your grasping ability. Because whenever you meet people, right, you have got a lot of things to learn. For instance, I am conducting this workshop as a resource person. That does not mean that you are the one who learns in this workshop and not me. In fact, I also learn a lot in these workshops. My understanding about the exam, my understanding about planning for this exam gets sharpened when I talk to you, when I take questions from you, when I answer your doubts and clarify your doubts. So when you meet people, people give you quite a lot of knowledge. They share experiences. See, the experiences of life that you get from other person is something that you can never get from anywhere, right? So try to hang out with your friends as well. For that also you plan. See, planning does not mean that you must not relax or you must work without relaxation. See, this is the worst thing that the Indian cinemas have given to us. Right? The Indian cinemas always show the heroes to be working hard all through. And you see, including the 12th file exam, right? Including the 12th file movie. You see, that boy will be, working all through the night in the floor mill, he works there. That kind of hard work is not required at all. Relax. Now, I would advise you to, some of you must be having geography and geography as your optional. I would advise you to watch the, what the lion, pride of lion does or animals do. After their hunt, meal, they sleep. They sleep continuously for 20, 17, 20 hours. Why do they sleep? First thing, their metabolic activity is very low. Lion has a very slow metabolic activity. It requires long time to digest. And another thing is that fine, it is all done. Relax. So if you have covered your syllabus as per your plan for the 1 week, relax, sit and relax. The relaxation is as important as work. It's not me who has told this. It is told by Douglas McGregor, a management thinker. Right? Fine. Now then, coming to the actual part of the planning, what do I do? 6 to 8 hours. See, basically how many hours I should study? Maximum of 6 to 8 hours. You can plan for 6 to 8 hours. If you plan for 6 to 8 hours, you plan for 4 hours. Then you extend it to 6. Then you extend it to 8. And by that time, when you reach the examination level and all, now the heat is up. The UPSC has called for the application, will be applying it, and that motivation and tension would have set in. Now it will automatically take you to 10 to 11 hours when it is required. That will not affect your health. But otherwise, what I suggest you is to start preparing for 4 to 6 hours. Begin with 4 to 6 hours. Sir, what nonsense are you talking? Prelims is around the corner. We have only 100 days. We thought that you will be giving us a proper plan for 100 days, how to study geography, history and all. Now you are talking about something else. Remember, I am not here to draw or chalk out a plan for you. I am trying to give you the strategy of how to plan. Sir, what happened? I am going to start. I am tensed. Don't worry. First of all, plan for 4 to 6 hours. Take it from me, it will be all right. First 2 days, where you will have your study table, go sit there, don't do anything, or read something that is relating to, say, it could be a novel, it could be something what you want to, read. Now, I don't have the habit of reading novels and all. I don't have the habit of reading book. I will only read textbooks. Doesn't matter. Don't read anything. Sit there. This is to test your patience to sit in your study table continuously for 2 hours. It will be very difficult. See, if you see, we are the most impatient animals. You can find out in the traffic signals how people bang their horns. Opposite the traffic signal is red light and it says that 45 seconds. We will not be able to, wait. That means just sit in your study table for 1 hour or 2 hours a day, couple of days. Then automatically your brain will drive you to study, drive you to do something, take some action. Third day onwards, you start studying for 4 hours. I'll guarantee you, take it from me, after a week's time, you will start focusing for about 8 hours. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is plan for 6 to 8 hours. That is practically possible. See, International Labour Organization says every human being can have 8 hours of work, 8 hours of rest and 8 hours for rest, all other jobs he has to do. His family chores, personal things, relaxation, etc. The same logic I'm applying here for your preparation as well. So simple. Secondly, this 6 to 8 hours, you do divide them into 3 or 4 2 hours slots. That again is your convenience. 2 hours I feel is better. But if you say that it is 1 hour, 1 hour, or 1.5 hours, 1 hour, that's again up to you to decide, and you can plan that way with a small break. And generally, I would advise you to reserve your afternoons for going to institutes, because the mornings, if you have the morning classes, what happens is morning 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, you wake up, or you have to wake up for going class. Supposing if you are a late sleeper, you're a late riser, then you will have to wait for, you will not have time saved for you. So better you go for afternoons. You can reserve for discussions, collaborative study sessions with your friends, or going to meet your teachers, going to classes. Choose classes in the afternoon. That will be better. Because that is a sleeping time, lean time, post lunch, you will not be having very alert mind. At that time, if you sit with people and discuss, then there is a possibility, there's a possibility that you are potentially to keep yourself awake and alive and alert. And then, when you end of the day, when you go to your bed, never forget to revise whatever you have done in that day. I mean, what is revising? Sir, I would have studied 5 subjects. How did revising here? I am not saying that take your book and revise. Sit quietly and calmly before you sleep. Recall what you did. Have you achieved? Have you actually done whatever you plan to do? Have you completed your planning? And what are the gaps? Did you have you ever marked something to be asked? There is anything doubtful things which you did not understand. All those things you recall. Because the brain's retention capacity is only 26%. After your sleep, you will retain only 26%. Remaining 74 will vanish. So to keep your brain, so to push it from short-term memory to long-term memory, you need to recall and reinforce to the brain that this is a structure. See, human brain is a very important, very weird tool. It has to be given a proper path. Okay, you have to give him a guideline. Look, these are all the things I'm very much interested in. Store it in the long-term memory. Don't allow it to vanish. So this will help coding will always help the brain to retain things. Your retention capacity will improve. So before you going to bed, recall whatever you studied, whatever you understood, the best part, the worst part, the doubts what you had, what markings you have made for asking your teachers, to discuss with your friends, and all these things recall. Similarly, when you wake up in the morning, just recall what you actually thought before you went to bed. This opening and closing bracket is very, very important for the brain to map itself and map the things what you have done. Right. So this could be your structure of your daily plan. Then comes the pragmatic plan relating to the subject, prioritization of the subjects. See, when you prioritize the subjects, we classify the subjects into two. One, that is your strong area. Second, that is the weightage that subject has in the exam. For example, not everybody will be strong in every area. For example, I may be strong in, say, polity, but I may be weak in, say, geography. But I have to find out what are my strong areas. And I have to also find out what is the weightage that subject carries in the exam. How important that particular subject is for me, for my exam. Because there are certain areas where you will find, for example, somebody will say that's a constitution I don't like, I don't want to study, but that is very difficult. You cannot leave constitution. Because Constitution of India, there are about 10 to 15 questions in the prelims, which means 30 marks. And one paper, half of the paper, 110 marks, constitution is asked in your mains paper, GS paper 2. And your constitution knowledge is required for answering in ethics paper as well. So you cannot afford to deprioritize such subjects. So have your strong areas. What are your strong areas, and align them, check for their weightage. Because why we have to check the weightage and why we have to prioritize? Come to this slide little later, or you will be able to understand this. See, the prioritization is prioritization is an aspect of planning, like scheduling. It helps you to effectively manage your time. It helps you to understand the topics and concepts clearly and focus on the core areas and systematically revise. Let us see how it works. See, I am now confining myself to prelims. When it comes to strong areas, when it comes to subjects, you can divide the subjects into three major heads. The strong areas, the subjects that you can improve or manageable one, and the other ones in which you are very weak. For example, I like constitution, I am good at constitution, then you'll have to consolidate and deepen the knowledge. I'm not that great in geography, but I love it. I don't hate it. I can improve. Then you have to identify the weakness relevant to that particular subject. No more concepts. Improve the clarity. And the third thing is there. Third thing is something that I don't know. I don't want to do. For example, sir, from 10th standard onwards, I belong to history group. And I studied BA history, or I studied BA sociology, or BA English literature, MA English literature. Now, for science and technology, which book I should study? Why should you study science and technology? Leave it. See, you and science were way apart and could not be friends. That is why you have severed the relationship with science from 10th standard itself. Why to unnecessarily revive it? Once divorced is divorced. Let him go to hell. If it is constitution, you cannot leave because the weightage of the exam is important. If it is economy, you cannot leave because the weightage of the examination is important. Now, when it comes to prelims, these areas you will know before even you go into examination, you will know. Okay, science questions are my weak areas. So I am not going to waste my time, cracking the science questions. So do you mean to say that I should leave science once and for all? No. That is a strategy. See, normally what we do in the prelims, certain questions we know the sure shots. You look at the question, you know the answer, you search for the answer option, mark it. That is sure shot. Most of the questions we go for elimination. Okay, A is not there, B is not there, C can be, D can be. Okay, A, C, remove. B and D. Since B is like this, B cannot be. So D should be the answer. This is the way you eliminate. And other things you will go for guess, wild or intelligent guess. Now, my point is, your preparation for the next 100 days should focus on those areas where you will guess. You will move it to elimination area. Those areas where you will eliminate, you will move it to strong areas. For that, you should know your subject of strength. Which subject is your strength? Start with that. That's why I told you, you start with 3 to 4 hours time when you start for your prelims. Even if you're starting afresh, start with your known subject. Generally, people tell you that when you have more time, focus on the subjects what you have to improve. Never do that, because in a competitive examination, mark is more important than the knowledge what you have. Right? For example, I have no idea about science. I'm a humanities student. Doesn't matter. There is a method for science. Go to the current affairs. Most of the questions must be coming from current affairs. So if it is purely science question from physics or biology, leave it. It's not your domain. But there can be certain questions relating to current affairs, which is extrapolated to science. That definitely you can answer because you would have definitely followed current affairs. So when the subject is to be improved, you can manage it with current affairs, push it to intelligent guessing and elimination. And elimination, whatever you're already eliminating now, improve its conceptual clarity and push it to sure shots. Right? Fine. This is the way it works in the exam as well. And this is the same thing, the same logic applies to mains also. Right? In the mains also, what choice you will make will be determined by the same logic. So this is what I have told you, fusioning from the wild guess to bring it to intelligent guess, intelligent guess to elimination sure shots. The more the number of questions are in the top quadrants, 1 and 2, the more possibility that you will clear. The less possibility that you will lose by negative marking. When you focus only on this, or when you totally rely on elimination alone, which most of the candidates do, because when preparing, they don't prioritize the subjects. Because of that, most of the candidates who potentially should have cleared lose the exam due to negative marking. I hope it's very clear to you, right? And if you have any questions, I'll take it in the question time. And another important aspect of your planning is to relate it with your current affairs. As I already told you, all subjects, even sure shots, elimination, and guess, whatever it is, related with current affairs. See, remember, UPSC calls it as general studies. General studies is knowing what, who, why, how, when, where, and the implications on subjects. So relate all your preparation with current affairs, right? And one more important thing is how to relate it with current affairs. Sir, what do I do? How do I know? Go to the previous year questions. In your strong area, for example, history is your strong area. How the questions are asked in history? What is happening in current affairs? Is there anything current affairs history today going on? Yes, going on. In UAE, there is a temple open. Our Prime Minister went, the Honorable Prime Minister went to UAE and opened a temple in UAE. What is a temple? It is a temple built by the Akshardham. What is their philosophy? In history, you will be studying culture, Dvaitam, Advaitam. What do they follow? And who is the founder of the Akshardham philosophy? There is a history in it, right? There is geography in current affairs. Now, Houthis are attacking and the Somalian pirates are attacking. So, Suez Canal route is now becoming a problem. We'll go to the map. Last year, if you see Ukraine war, they asked the map of Ukraine. So, when you see the last year question as to how Ukraine war has been asked, in the prelims, they asked about map last year. Last 1 year, when the Ukraine war broke out, everybody was when we expected that to be an IR question, they asked it in ethics paper. So when you look at the previous year question, you'll be able to understand, okay, this is the current affairs I'm saying. This can be extrapolated to ethics, or this can be extrapolated to geography. This can be extrapolated to history. This can be extrapolated to economics. Accordingly, you can relate the current affairs topics with your strong areas, weak areas, and your weakest areas. Thereby, you'll be able to push the weakest area to elimination to sure shot, and thereby your potential to clear the examination improves. This is how you have to plan. And for your kind information, I'm just giving you the comparison of the weightage, marks weightage in the prelims the last 5 years. And so is the case with the priority areas, what you cannot afford to, not studying. History, polity and governance, constitution, geography and economics. See, close to 400 marks on an average. This carries 400 marks. These 4 subjects carry 400 marks, which is almost 28%, 28% of the total marks of 1750. So this is what I have to say all about, and I'm prepared to take questions from you.